views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Good evening and welcome to BronxTalk. We are in for a treat tonight. We're going to be visiting with some wonderful Bronx art students and get to see some of their fantastic work. Also talk with them about their experiences at the Millennium Art Academy. The Academy is one of the city's most accomplished when it comes to teaching art and the development of art students and using those experiences in art as springboards to strong academics and productive careers. For folks who don't know, the Academy is located in what many know as the Stevenson High School campus in Castle Hill. So please join me in welcoming. We brought the teacher. It is Ms. Laura Blau. Thank you for coming back to the program.
Thank you.
And look at that, the students are already clapping, just like I am. I'm clapping. I love these kids. And our guests of honor, the Millennium Art Academy students. So let's see, it's 11th grader Victoria Agoha. Nice to have you with us. And Amy Wayamave is all the way at the end there. Hi, Amy. How are you? And 12th graders is Anthony Cortez. Nice to have you with us. And also Raven Ortiz. Raven was waving too early. So nice to have you all with us. If you'll give us a moment, we're going to speak with the teacher first, and let's define our terms, and then we're going to have some fun with our Bronx High School students. So, Ms. Blau, tell me a little bit about Millennium Art Academy. You folks have been here before. Why has this turned out to be such a great experience for students?
Well, we're in a small high school, but I get a lot of opportunities to work with the students, not just for 1 year, but over multiple years. So these students that are here today are students who I've worked for and with over time. So our students are able to engage in this deep level of work where they're creating pieces where the focus is on professionalism. So that enables us then to take our very professional pieces to beyond the scope of the building walls to really be across the city and in many different exhibitions and other opportunities that the students can participate in.
So of the 400 students, are they all art students? Are they all like have an affinity for it? Or are they, well, some kind of like it and some don't? And then talk about how it's fit into the curriculum.
So students all get art in 9th grade. I teach 10th, 11th, and 12th. So they have a different teacher in 9th grade, and then some students return in 10th grade, some students that really elect to be in the arts. And from there, I find the students that have the most interest, and those students continue to advance placement art. So there's a lot of opportunities for students to keep making art. Some students repeat my class several times, but students definitely are able to sort of track themselves to become more advanced artists by building it into the schedule, and the programmer is really, really good about doing
Right, and so it's different levels. So some achieve to certain levels, and some have real interest, and some don't have those kinds of interest.
Yes.
Talk about the integration of of art into the curriculum, so that listen, all the students are going to need math and science and social studies and English and all the other important subjects. Talk about the breakdown and how it works out for each student, so they get what they really need in addition to art.
In addition to art, so students are programmed into my AP class, and sometimes if they have a free period available, they might also be in like another art class so they can get a double period. I do have some students that even come during their gym classes to be able to work extra time. I run an after-school program with a company called Career Visions, and they not only provide a lot of funding, but allow me to have that extra studio time with students that want an even deeper experience. Also, a lot of the projects that we do in my classes are not just only about art. A lot of times, and many of these students will attest to this, they're building things, they're bringing in skills from other disciplines into their art making to inform their choices and to inform their knowledge about building things and creating things and executing things.
And I guess the most important question of all is, what is the effect of art and the creation of art and the creativity that it requires, the self-expression that it requires? I'm already answering my own question. But what is that effect on students, on their ability to learn in school, to be productive, and maybe even move on in life after school?
The students that work with me over multiple years, I have seen in them this extraordinary confidence that gets built, and it just keeps getting built over the time to the point where students that are in 11th or 12th grade can look back on the work they made a year ago or 6 months ago and actually see and witness and be able to speak about the ways that they've improved and how they've grown. So the students are able to engage on this personal journey, and it's different for every student. Every student experiences their own growth in my class, which is, I think, the best part of it, and we all get to witness one another's growth from wherever we're at to wherever we want to be. So for some students, it's applying to an art school. For some students, it's having that one time that they really got to showcase their work in an exhibit or in a fancy building or in any of many types of venues. So it's teaching them all that art isn't just one, finite thing. It's something
like, hey,
that
you
is
draw a
open-ended.
picture.
Yes,
that
it's
kind of thing.
open-ended, it's full of possibilities, and the ability and the possibility to apply art to other things is something that these students realize.
Last question for you before we really delve into who these students are. I got a list here. Let's see. Free Arts NYC, Museum Experience Program, Arts Connection, Neighbors in Action, National Scholastic Art Competition, the Haney Medal, the DOE PS Art, Congressional Art Competition. Your students participate in all these things.
Yes, they do.
And the value of it is, again, it just seems so obvious to me to have students participating, but you may as well articulate it.
Well, it's to present themselves, but I would say a bigger part of it in some of these competitions is to represent their borough to the rest of the city and to the world, really, because we are here to really showcase all of the talent that is occurring in our schools and just as artists in the Bronx.
This is who we are.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that perfect introduction to our students. We're going to ask how some of this has worked. We're just going to go right down the line. Hello, Victoria. Nice to have you with us.
Hi.
Now, I understand your brother was on this program when he was at this school.
Yes, 2 years ago.
And talk to me a little bit about your family and what art has been for you. Because he did it, is it something you felt you had to do, or do you do art normally and kind of in your everyday life anyway?
Well, for me, it was two different types of art. The first art was music. I was always in love with music. But as time went by, and I'm still in love with music.
Do you play, out of curiosity?
Sometimes I like to just mostly sing. I hope to learn how to play the guitar and piano later on. I played a little in middle school. It was fun. When I got later on to middle school, art started to become more of an interesting thing. And then I saw my brother doing it, which started to spark interest.
And he got on TV. That was one of the other
Yes.
experiences we didn't mention that they get to do, is they get to be on TV also, which is in and of itself is an educational experience. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But even before my brother was on TV and he went to all these art shows, him doing the art and expressing his creativity always inspired me in some way. And looking at other art pieces, I'm wondering, oh, how do you do that? Wow, how do you do that? And then coming more into myself, and then me and my teacher, it was just like inspiration of art.
So
It just coming out.
it keeps going. By the way, we're going to see artwork from each of these students in a little bit, but I wanted to get you to meet them first. Good morning, Raven. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Good. Tell me about you and your experience and your development in art. Did it come as a surprise, or did you say, oh, no, I love to do this?
Well, I've always loved to do this, but Miss Blau, I transferred here in my 11th grade year, and she was the first one who actually pushed me to become the artist that I am now. So without her, I would have just stayed in, my regular little box. And I became something better with Miss Blau. So.
Well, congratulations. Thank you, Ms. Blau, for
Yeah.
influencing. But what is it about the making of art? And we're going to look at some of your work. What is it about the making of art that really inspires you and has gotten you to that next point?
Well, my art, I want to inspire people with my art to think outside the box, like different perspectives in my art. Why is this person doing this? What's the purpose of this portrait? Like, what is it that is so about it? That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. And how prolific are you? Do you draw and paint? Or
I draw and I paint. I do,
every day?
no, not every day, but almost every day.
And final question, then we're going to get to Anthony. Explain to me, has it really impacted your? No, this is for Raven. Don't look away yet. She was looking at Anthony, getting ready. It's up to you. No, has it affected your academics? Do you think?
Yes, it has affected my academics. It made me a better person. It made me like not quit. So
Not quit.
Yeah.
Because there is a benchmark. If you're going to finish a painting,
Yeah.
it's not like you're going to study, English and say, well, I'm not going to do
Ms.
it.
Blau pushes me so hard. So like,
Well, that's good.
yeah, the first time I've done an assignment and it's gonna be up soon.
I mentioned this before we were on camera, and you were talking about you never knew that there was so much math in art.
Yeah, I never knew.
And
There's
then,
so
like,
much.
and how is that applied?
Okay, so there's measurements and like geometry and algebra that you have to put it in it just to make it precise. Because if it's not, it's floppy and it doesn't look right.
Got it. Anthony, how about you? How did you get started making artwork?
Well, I liked this since I was a little kid, and so my cousin that passed away, he used to love to do art and all that. So he inspired me to like make more art and do my own style and all that.
Well, that's interesting. So maybe you were inspired by somebody who's not here, and you say, you know
Yeah.
what, on his behalf, I'm going to keep on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you create every day? Do you do something every day?
Yeah. Every day I go to Ms. Blau's. I skip, not skip, but like
No,
I go
don't say that.
to I go to
Can we rewind the tape on that?
I ask permission to go to
Okay, that's fair.
to go to Ms. Blau, to her class,
Mm-hmm.
so I can make my art. I have learned new techniques. I have used pens, different
Things that
types
you had
of
never
stuff.
tried
Yeah.
before. And has it made you a better student, other than the stuff that you're missing in the other classes?
Well, yeah, it has.
It has.
Yeah.
And how do you measure that? How do you know that?
Because, I feel like a better person when I do art, and I feel like more open when I do
More fulfilled,
art.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming. Amy, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Nice to have you with us. Talk to me about art and what it has meant to you and how it has impacted your life and your studies.
Well, when I first learned that I had autism, I was very confused. Like, does this mean like
I'm
dumb?
done. Yeah.
Dumb,
Yeah. Right.
And art has helped me develop a lot of things that I needed, like social skills. Like whenever I need to talk to somebody and criticize their work, it helps me keep in mind of what they think and what can I really say to them that won't affect them negatively.
And I mean, as a result, we talk about how it affects academics, but you got a whole group of buddies you may not have had otherwise, right? And one of the things that people might notice, so you have the teddy bear, that's kind of part of the whole picture here of being creative, feeling good about yourself. Just talk a little bit about that and how that works.
So this is my stuffed animal, Mr. Fugsley. He is he's a comfort toy. Whenever I feel anxious during class, I just give him a squeeze.
Or when you meet an annoying talk show host, that really works out.
No.
Well, but that's all part of the whole, in a way, creative process,
Yeah.
that you can be who you are, and whatever it is that you need, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how often you work on your artwork and those kinds of things. Now, you're a junior?
I'm a junior.
Junior, yes, go ahead.
So I try to work on my art every time in art club with Miss Blau and a few other students. Every day is always going to be a new experience when I'm in that room. Like sometimes I need help with one thing, like how do I do this? So.
And for special education students in general, I'm going to make an assumption here. You would recommend that all schools and all programs that work with young people like that, they incorporate art, right? It really works, right?
Yes, because art is the universal language. Like in general, like autistic people may have a hard time explaining what they're really thinking or feeling. So art is their voice to them.
Well, you and Mr. Fugsley are doing a great job on the program so far. All right, are we ready to see some stuff? You ready? Ms. Blau, we got it done here? All right, so we're going to start at this end over here, and we're going to start with Victoria. So, folks, they're going to put up some pictures, and we're going to see your work. You can talk about it a little bit. And I got this long list of where all these students' work has been shown. So, are we going to see some pictures up here? Let's see what we're going to see. Here we go. This was yours?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah. She said, oh my gosh, she's getting to see it on TV. Tell me what this is.
So this is Mother Nature Nigeria, and I did this when I was a sophomore, so it was last year. I remember Miss Blau
Now,
wanted
these are
us.
bags?
No, this is actually it's a tunnel. So we basically made it out of paper, and going back to what Raven was saying, it did take a lot of math, some geometry and algebra. So we basically had to measure some paper and glue them together, and we were making a collage, but within a story. That's why we call it a tunnel book. Because when you keep
Tunnel
looking
book.
inside, you get to see more interesting parts whenever you're looking at even the littlest of details. So for this art piece, I was inspired by my culture because I had no idea what to do for that project. I was actually very confused. And what I wanted to show is the expression beauty, like how does everybody see beauty, especially for the stigma of African Americans or just Africans. So the expression beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I want to emphasize that in 3 ways, because beauty can be seen in nature, person, or flowers. So I decided to incorporate all that in that time.
How long did that take to like, was that like a semester-long project?
I think
For
it was
me, it's
around
about a
3
40-year
months.
project.
I think
but-
it was like 2 to 3 months that took me.
Wow.
Because I was a little anxious and nervous, but I had some of my classmates helping me and criticizing what I need to do.
Well, that's what Amy was talking about before.
Yes.
All right, let's go to the next one. We got a lot to show, and I want to make sure we get everything in. And this is also yours?
Yes.
Okay,
This
what
is
is it?
also my sophomore year. Oh my gosh, I think I forgot the title of this art piece.
That's okay.
But
You don't give us a title. It's just beautiful. Now, was this a painting?
watercolor. This is
Watercolor.
a paper cutout. This is another assignment Miss Blau assigned to us, and I was actually very nervous for this one because when you're doing a paper cutout, you can get anxious on like how you cut it because it's very delicate and can sometimes rip. And practicing, I use watercolor for this. In the media, I use watercolor.
It's interesting that you got such vibrant colors out of the watercolor.
Yeah, it took a while because it was my first time using watercolor. And the thing is, I wanted to show bright colors since it's also part of my culture.
It's entitled Nigeria, I
Yes.
understand. How large a piece is it in real life? I mean, it depends how large your TV screen is. That's no, but how large is a piece?
It's not that large. I would say it's just like around this big. It's not. It's not that.
She's
really
holding
big.
her hands about a foot and a half. Wow. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, batting second is Raven. And so let's take a look at some. The work is. I'm going to keep repeating it that the work is just spectacular. All of the students' work. And what I do love, we can put one up there. What I do love is the way that the students describe it. It's not just, oh, I made a painting with pictures. It has significance. It has meaning. Tremendous. Hi, Raven. What do we got?
That's my favorite one.
That's her favorite one.
Yes.
Well, it's becoming my favorite too.
Thank you. Well, that is my first one with Miss Blau. She kept on pushing me so hard for this one.
You've said that before.
Yes, it took me a month for this one.
This is like a. Go ahead.
It's watercolor, ink, and micron pens.
Right, and
Yeah.
it looks like a crystal ball of some sort.
Yes. I had a simple thought for it. It was literally looking at an object, touching a butterfly, and then it just came out to that.
Wow. And paint, acrylic paints?
No, this is just watercolor.
Again, watercolors. Wow,
Yeah.
spectacular. All right, what's next?
Yeah, that one was for the gun violence, was it?
Yes,
Yes. It was for gun
was the
violence.
competition
It was
about
the
gun violence.
competition. Yeah, it was the competition for gun violence, and I thought about two perspectives, like the perspective of the victims and then the perspective of the shooter, because there's always a purpose for the shooter to, kill those people,
Right, he or she has
and it's
some
usually
crazy
by
idea.
verbal abuse that
Or
people
some-
do it.
Wow. And again, this is how artwork helps young people understand issues,
Yeah.
express themselves about it, and certainly young people in
It's
America
more like
now are very
awareness.
concerned.
It's awareness to the community and like the bigger picture of what's actually going
How,
on.
again, how large a piece was it, or just like a?
For the second one, it's like like this, and then
It's 12 by 18. They're pretty accurate.
No, 12 by 18.
And then
Okay.
the first one is
So much for measurement.
I forgot my measurements.
Yeah.
I think it's this one 18.
The other one's 18 by 24.
Yeah, so like
Now, let me ask you something, both of you, and we're going to go to the other two as well. You're both incredibly well spoken. I interview many young people.
Thank
That has
you.
got to be coming out of this process, right? That you learn to speak and express yourself and explain your work, right?
a little bit added on to that, but I've always been well spoken. It's
Okay.
just that's how I am.
Here we go. Did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, for me, my mom, oh my gosh, she made sure that
Yeah.
the way we spoke was elegant and to the point, but just on with the art, we always have to make artist statements for our art pieces.
I hate
So
those.
that's what
And that
enhanced it
goes
a
with all
lot.
these places that
Yes.
you experience, that you go to the museums and all
Because
these.
sometimes not everybody's going to be able to understand your
Got
art
it.
piece from first glance. So that's why every artist has a statement so people can,
Let's
elaborate.
get to Anthony's statement. Anthony, let's see. We got some stuff for you. Now, this is a whole different sort of medium, right?
Yeah. This is made of Sharpie pens, and I got inspired by astronauts, and since I like flowers and all this stuff, and Aztecs.
The
and
work
stuff.
is incredibly detailed,
Yeah.
and that would suggest that you spend a lot of time on them.
I
mean,
did.
is this a very time-consuming piece?
It is because I had to add all the details. I had to add where I wanted to add the flowers, and what else to add into it.
And I'll give folks just take a look, and it's easy to just kind of gloss by it. Look at the bottom right and the flower on the bottom right. That is such wonderful work to get the depth, to get the kind of the three-dimensional feel of the flowers. That is not by accident. That is a very talented student. I got a really bad question to ask you. How do you know when you're done? How do you know when you say, you know what, I'm not putting any more dots in here? Or is it just a feel, or does Ms. Blau say, okay, you're done?
No, it's just a feel. It's just I don't know. I just like covering the whole entire paper in different types of flowers, different types of marks.
To create a work like that, there is incredible personal intensity.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. But I am really taken by, especially in the bottom right, the bottom left, the 3D feel of those flowers. It's very easy to say, well, he was good with the astronaut and the helmet and all that. But that shows real talent. Congratulations. What's the next
Thank you.
one that we got? Similar style.
Yeah, similar. With this one, I got inspired by an anime that I really like. It's called Naruto. And the hand was inspired because there's this character that I like, and then the hand, they have a tongue in it and stuff like that. They have powers and all that stuff.
I have a feeling there's more to that than I
Yeah.
want to really know. Well, and that also brings up another whole thing, and I'm
Yeah.
sure, Ms. Blau, you know it, that students get inspired by all different things. And these are things that are interesting to Anthony, and he gets to express them. Well, congratulations to
Thank
all
you.
of you, of course. These are, my goodness. Amy, are we ready? All right, what do we got from Amy? We've got a couple of pictures. Oh, each one is different. Goodness gracious, who couldn't love these enough? What do we got?
So this is a paper cutout with watercolor, and this kind of shows how my mind and my feelings really work. Like sometimes my feelings are really mixed, and my mind is like, you shouldn't really be upset, because during the time I made this, I was really upset over something really simple that could have easily been fixed. That was my mind telling me that, but my feelings are like, oh, this is such a big deal.
Just to review, you said it was a cutout,
Yeah.
right? Does that mean it's like a collage and each of these are pieces, or they painted on, or just a bit of a description of what they are?
So the process is a little bit long, but in general, we make lines underneath the cutout and then we add color underneath it.
Wow.
Not like we paint on top of the black, because if we do that, it's going to mess up the paper.
What a beautiful work, and the way that you described it was beautiful as an expression of yourself, and that ultimately it's almost like, wow, there's a revelation. You put your hands up and there's, wow, a revelation of some sort. And then what do we got as the final piece here? Oh my goodness, how beautiful. Whew. Powerful. Go ahead, tell us about it.
So this is another cutout piece that I have done based on the Milky Way and Andromeda galaxies. So
And when you start a work like that, do you say, I'm going to make something with vibrant colors and make it like that? Or do you watch it kind of develop and say, oh, I got an idea, now I'm going to put some color into it?
well, I just see it develop. Like when I first had finished the cutout, not adding the color, I was like, hey, I think it's good the way it is, but after doing a little bit more research about the Andromeda and Milky Way, I just feel like, hey, gotta add some more color.
So if you go to science class and they tell you to research the Andromeda and the Milky Way, you're like, okay. But if you do it here, you were inspired to research it by yourself, and now you've learned something and you've created something. I mean, this is why we do this stuff.
Plus, I've heard that the Milky Way galaxy and the Andromeda are like circling each other as we speak. And for me, it's like ballroom dancing.
It's a dance. Listen, you guys are great. What do you plan to do after high school? We're going to college?
Yes.
And do you have a career in mind? I'm going to do the same thing
I
down the
want to
road.
major in business. I
Ma-
definitely
See that? See that? If you want, I mentioned this the other day. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine, we got to talk quick because we're almost out of time, has an orchestra, has a wonderful orchestra. So I say, if you want to be a good doctor, learn music. If you want to be a good business person, learn art. What about for you?
Art therapy and theater.
Great.
I want to be an architect.
An architect.
Yeah.
He's halfway there.
Art teacher like Miss Blau.
Ah, there you go. Okay. Last question for you, and it's a terrible question. Are there enough supplies? Do you have enough materials? Where are we at? Always looking for more? Characterize
Always
that.
looking for more. I have to say, over the years, I've developed a lot of partnerships. And we did just get a grant we're finally seeing the results of a grant from a few years ago that is redoing some of the furniture in our room. So we have been very lucky in that way, but we always do welcome more funding and more partnerships with organizations.
You guys are the best. Victoria, Raven, Anthony, Amy, and even Ms. Blau, you are the best. Say hello to Mr. Guy and all my friends over there at Millennium Art Academy. I got to come by one day. You'll invite me, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, we're going to do that. The best of the Bronx. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, you can applaud. We can all applaud. And I can tell you, the crew was loving the work. You could see it on there. They're like, whoa. Thank you so much. Folks, if you have further questions or comments on anything you heard on tonight's show or anything going on in the Bronx, email them to us at bronxtalk@bronxnet.org. You send us a tweet at BronxTalk, or you post them on our Facebook page. We thank our producer is Helen Greenberg. Our director is Nick Marrero, and we'll see you next week, as we always do every week. Happy holidays, everybody. Bye. We can all wave.